Okay.
Because we are having an epidemic again at the moment. This was also very common in earlier centuries. The Black Death was the most feared in our region. In 1637 the plague came to Pobles,
Kam die Pest nach Pobles.
also to the guest house. The plague raged very hard there. Almost the entire family was infected by the plague. Then the first ones fell victim to the plague. In fact, on September 29th, on St. Michael's Day, George died of the plague in the cellar house in Wirtschwitz.
Auf dem Kellerhause zu Wirtschwitz an der Pest. Kurz darauf,
Shortly afterwards, on October 10th, Augustine Gratchen of Pobles, stepson of George Musch, dies. Probably plague because he had brown spots on his body.
braune Flecken, Post, Olitrum am Leibe gehabt.
2 days bedridden. The following day he was buried with a song, not without song and sound as was customary at the time, in the churchyard in Lobers.
Also nicht sang- und klanglos, wie es damals üblich war, auf den Gottesacker zu Lobas begraben. Der nächste Tote aus der Familie.
The next death from the family. On November 5th, also Gratchen, stepdaughter Maria Muchin, dies of the plague in the 15th year of her age.
Im 15. Jahr ihres Alters.
Buried the following day with song and verse in the churchyard at Lobers.
Auf dem Kirchhof zu Lobas. Den 15. November sterben zu Abend beide Knaben in Gratchen Haus.
On the evening of November 15th, both boys die in the Gratchen house in Pobles. Hans, a stepboy of 13, Muchin's son, and Bart, Gratchen's biological son at the age of 15 years and 16 weeks.
Gratchen leiblicher Sohn von 15 Jahren und 16 Wochen.
Both of the plague. They were buried with a song and a verse in the churchyard at Lobers the following day.
Auf dem Kirchhof zu Lobas am folgenden Tage.
And now the pastor added at the end of the year. All, in 1637 41 deceased.
41 Verstorbene.
In the previous 1636th year 58 had died because of the plague.
58 an der Pest gestorben.
Among them my youngest daughter Magdalena, 14 years old.
Auch darunter war. Also, das Jahr zuvor hat schon die Pest in Pobles sehr stark gehaust.
Well, the year before the plague in Pobles was very strong. You have to say that it was in the middle of the 30-year war. At that time, mercenaries constantly came to our region. It was the time after the Battle of Lutzen. First the Swedes brought the plague. Then the Holtschen horsemen brought the plague here. By the way, General Holt then occupied and plundered the town of Altenburg. He had even settled in Altenburg with his troops, although the plague was raging there. As a punishment from God, he had contracted the plague. He had died near Adorf a few days after moving on towards Bohemia.
Zur damaligen Zeit haben in der Kirchpfort Lobas ungefähr 350 Einwohner gewohnt.
At that time about 350 people lived in the parish of Lobers. It has to be said that there were sometimes farmhands and maids from other places who did their jobs here. At that time, the farmer, the farmer's wife, a foreman, a little farmhand, a grandmaid, a little maid and about 8 to 12 children lived on a farm.
Und dann ungefähr 8 bis 12 Kinder.
However, many children usually did not live to see the age of 6. They were mostly swept away at a young age by childhood illnesses. Of course, when the plague came, many were affected. You have to say that at the time of the plague, it was the 30-year war. It was famine, hunger crisis. There were other diseases too. The people were already starving and very weak. Anyone who got a serious illness, with fever and dehydration, would of course die sooner than a well-fed farmer who had something to counteract it. The poorer ones were hit the hardest. From what I had just read, the plague broke out in October 1637 at the guest house in Pobles. 4 people died in a very short time. The others probably had the plague, but survived this. The great thing is, in our neighboring region, in Wernsdorf, that's 1 kilometer from Cana as the crow flies. It's in Altenburg now, but it used to belong to Cana.
Da wohnte ein Praktikus unter Medizinbeflissenen namens Adam Degenkolbe und der hatte ein Mittel gegen die Pest entwickelt.
There lived a practitioner among medicine-minded people, named Adam Degenkolbe. He had developed a remedy for the plague. In years of research and experiments, he had developed a great, effective remedy for the plague. After he died, there was a fair dance in Wernsdorf one day. And as it was, many were curious, because this remedy was sold far away from Wernsdorf and Cana. Degenkolbe had earned an incredible amount of money with it. The farmers' sons and farmhands got Adam Degenkolbe's youngest daughter drunk with brandy and brown beer.
Und Braunbier reichlich beköstigt, sodass er dann so die Geisterstunde eine ziemlich lockere Zunge hatte.
As a result, by the witching hour, she had a fairly loose tongue and gave away the recipe. She said that she used to go to the neighborhood chicken pens with her siblings, her father and mother on full moon nights.
An die Nachbar-Hühnergehege gegangen ist, die Hühnerkacke dort eingelesen hat.
The chicken poop was collected there. This was then mixed with various herbs and pressed into a small bottle. A note was pinned, anti-pestilence. A wooden stopper was used as a closure. This highly effective remedy was delivered all over the world.
In alle Welt geliefert. Natürlich gegen gewisses Entgelt.
For a certain fee, of course. It was really very effective, because after that no more deaths from the plague were known here. If you had smeared yourself with this substance, in the armpit or groin area, you stunk more than the plague. But the pest flea hadn't bitten you anymore. And you were no longer infected with the plague bacillus. There is a herb for every disease.
Ist ein Kraut gewachsen.